Okay. So what I did is separately, we received from the finance office the markups that came out of our markup session, or the results that came out of our markup session. I included that in 4 different options that I sent and hand delivered to each of you, that talked about how we can go from either business the same as we did last year, all the way through the 2 separate ordinances that we talked about at our markup session. And talking with several of you, what you have behind you, in front of you now, is a option 2.5 that seems to be something that most of us can agree on. And so I'll just take you through that one. Section 1 is defining the departments as they are defined in the city charter. So as you know, there are 19 departments that were identified in the actual budget book. And in the past, when we've done an appropriation ordinance, the language that came over from the executive branch, excuse me, the language that came over from the executive branch said there were only 5 appropriation departments. Well, in the city charter, there's no such qualifiers anywhere on the word department. There isn't a qualifier that talks operating, administrative, or appropriations. So this was something that by establishing these 5 appropriation departments, City Council, under its purview on Charter 5-10, says we can establish departments and define the roles and missions. So by passing the ordinance in the past 2 years, ever since we got into the new strong mayor and done these ordinances, we were in essence giving the executive branch the authority to basically move money wherever they wanted in conjunction with city code that says the executive branch the mayor has authority to direct the chief financial officer to move money within departments without coming back to council. And so if we approve something for parks, the mayor could very well have moved it over to public works or planning, because the 3 Ps were in there. Well, as I said, there's no such thing as appropriation ordinances in the charter. And therefore, if a department is a department, we ought to then limit the department and stick with the intent of the charter and in city code. One of the compromises there, instead of going to the 19 departments that are separate tabs inside the budget book, we are referencing here just the departments that are actually spelled out in city charter. So when you look at 440 and talks about there will be a director, the police department, the fire department, public works, etc. So that's what you see in A through L. The other part of there is the second half of that paragraph in section 1, for the same purposes per city charter 7-30A, and that's the part that talks about the budget. It says we can add programs, increase or delete we can add or increase programs, we can delete or increase programs and amounts. And so, but the charter, both charter and city code are silent on what the definition is of a program. When you look at Denver's budget, they talk about having X amount of departments and over 200 programs. So you would look at a program as to dog walking or pig farming or pick anything. Those were the generic names we always used in our discussions. But park watering would be a program. The community health program, fire department wants to do would be a program. And so we could have gone in and added that. And unfortunately, as we saw when we got the budget, we didn't have enough information to make the decision of, okay, how much money was actually going into park watering? We knew it was 1.3 short, but we didn't have that information until later in the process. So as a compromise, again, here, instead of going in and defining programs for 2014 to be park watering, to be community health program, the budget committee has said there, we looked at and talked about, and as I talked with you, if we keep it to the same level of detail that we got in the budget. So what we saw in the department, we had a level of detail of this is the salaries for the department, this is the operating expenses, this is the capital outlay, this is the debt service, this is the money to go from this department over to capital improvement projects. Since we got the level of the detail, our other thought was, again, the same level of detail would be a good compromise of just keeping it that instead of going into 200 separate programs for 2014. Section 2 is then all the put and takes that we got in the email, and I'll if I made an error, I'll defer to Cara or Charest to see if I've transposed that properly. But that's what you'll see in there. General fund. So we made changes to the general fund. We made changes to city-funded CIP, Conservation Trust Fund, LART. The LART in there is, of course, you know, we had 2 columns. So what we're doing on the LART is city council, we're saying the city council column. The Norwood SMID, and we made a change to that. They requested an increase of the 25K or 50K Memorial Health System. And then all the other funds that are listed were in page 2.2 in the budget book. And that's the revenue, and the expenditures in the middle column is whether they need to draw from or they'll have surplus that they'll put back into the fund balance. Section 3 of 2.5 is what we talked about of making the major budgetary policy determinations. Again, as I stated during the markup session, there's no way to force the executive branch to actually spend dollars. We can appropriate it, but we can't spend dollars. So these are the 3 issues that we wanted to just make a policy statement that this money is intended for those purposes. So paragraph A is the Garden of the Gods to hire the 2 additional park rangers, and it's also the that 150 though. While this only talks about the Garden of the Gods, we did put the 150 for the 10, which included 10K for Helen Hunt Falls. Paragraph B is the park watering. Paragraph C is stormwater to consolidate it into a central place. So there's no puts and takes with that. We're just basically emphasizing, and that's the page that Finance showed us during the markup session, those 4 pages. So it's just reinforcing that. We hope to see that in the annual operating plan that comes out on the 1st of January. Section 4 is the tax levy. This is standard out of all previous years that we're stating that the tax levy will be done by separate ordinance. Section 5, this is the first year we are being asked to reapprove a different salary range schedule. In the past, that has been, there's been no changes to the salary ranges, so there hasn't been a need to approve a salary range because the salary ranges have stayed constant. Salary ranges for 2014 are going up by 2%. They are included as Appendix H in what we received on the 7th of October, but both have been amended. In my conversations with Wynetta, that's something we couldn't include it in here code says we'll do that by ordinance, so this is just strictly stating, so when somebody reads this, they know that even though Section 8 or Appendix H has the salary range schedules in there, they need to go look for a separate ordinance. Section 6, 7, 8, and 9 are standard as taken from all the previous ordinances. City code on Section 6, City Charter 7-30 says the mayor and city clerk are directed to sign the budget. That's language lifted right out of there. City council president is an add in there. All other ordinances are appealed in the state of Colorado. That's our home rule authority, standard boilerplate. Ordinances affect 1 January, and Section 9 is a standard boilerplate also.
Okay.